I'm going to just open up the public hearing. At this time, we're having a public hearing for the vacating of the alley that you saw over in the industrial park. So the purpose of the public hearing is to hear objections, oral or written, to the resolution of the Romeo Village Council adopted on July 20th, 2020 to vacate an alley running north and south, east of Bailey Street, south of Newberry Street, and north of any of the existing east-west alley in the original town portion of the plat of the Village of Romeo. Is there anybody attending this Zoom meeting that wishes to offer comment on this public hearing? If so, you can hit *9 to raise your hand, and I will unmute you. If you have public comment and you wish to be heard, you can dial my office phone number, which is 586-752-3565. I'm at extension 3. Or you can use the group chat. I'm going to give everybody just a couple of minutes, a minute or two, to wait for anybody who wants to make public comment. So.
Close it because of the echo. Yeah.
For anybody that just joined, there were a few people that just joined the meeting. We are holding the public hearing portion before the regular trustee meeting. We're hearing public hearing on the vacating of the alley. If you wish to make public comment, you can chat in the chat box. You can raise your hand and I will unmute you in the meeting, or you can call 586-752-3565, extension 3, and I'll put you on speakerphone. I'm going to give it about 30 more seconds and then. Hello, this is Christine.
Hi, Christine. I'm here to make a public comment. Or actually, question. If you could please provide a brief overview of what this is about so that the public is clear, so they know what you're discussing.
Can you please state your name and your address?
Yep, my name is Shelley Rosso. I'm at 421 North Bailey.
Thank you very much. Shelley, so at last month's meeting, at the Planning Commission meeting and the meeting prior to the Village of Romeo, at the Village Council level, we heard a proposal by Vita Pamploma to put a new medical building on the corner of Bailey Street and St. Clair. In his site plan review, it called for a vacating of the alley so that he would have the proper square footage. That alley, if you can see your screen right now, there's a yellow highlighted portion on that map that I have up. That runs from the current alley. So if you were driving in the Bailey Street parking lot, you can enter off of St. Clair, or you can also enter off of Bailey. There's a small alleyway that comes into the back. That's the N12E alleyway. That's not the portion that we're vacating. We're vacating a portion that abuts the four parcels labeled as 5, 6, 7, and 8. It butts up to the backs of those properties. And so Village Council approved vacating the alley at last month's meeting. And now we're holding a public hearing to see if there are any public input or is any input to that process.
So if we vacate that alley, is there any financial gain for us? Does he pay for the property?
There's not. The financial gain comes from the investment in his new medical building and the infrastructure that he's putting in the village. Right now, there is nothing there. If you go in that area, it's just grass and overgrown trees. There is no drivable surface. So there was some confusion on what constitutes an alley. But it was on the original plat. In a portion of that, if you can see, there's a small blue area that goes to the middle of the alley. There's some discrepancies on the old documents for the assessment. where it shows part of it had already previously been vacated. The process just was never completed. So there's a hunk that's already vacated, but we're just going to re-vacate the whole thing so that it's a clear-cut process through the assessor.
And are those two current homes that are highlighted in blue? Those are private homes?
Those are two houses that have been purchased, yes, by Mr. Pamplona. They've already been approved for demo.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
I'm opposed, well, no, it's okay.
Okay. All right. Is there anybody else who wanted to offer public comment on the vacating of this alley? Going once, going twice? All right, I am going to, I appear to be on the telephone, I can barely hear. Sorry, Mark Clark is having a bit of a hard time hearing what anyone is saying. So we'll try and listen in as best we can. I'm just going to let him know that he can come here. Okay. Gotta love the technical difficulties. Okay, so I'm going to close that public hearing portion, and I'm going to open up the regular section of the Village of Trustee Board of Trustees meeting scheduled for today, August 17th. It is 7:16. Okay. And would you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Roll call, Clerk Trapp.
Can you hear me?
Yes?
Okay, roll call. Bartholomew?
Here.
Edwards?
Here.
He's here around here somewhere. Fowler?
Yes.
Hart?
Yes.
Poznansky?
Poznansky here.
Seidel?
Yes.
President Malzahn?
Here.
All present?
Yes, thank you. Okay, in your packet, you have a copy of the minutes from July 20th, 2020. We have a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as provided.
So we have a motion by Edwards. Do we have support?
Support.
Support by Bartholomew. Any discussion?
Poznansky has questions.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Megan.
Okay. Two questions. Let me look through my minutes here. Sorry, I'll tell you where I'm at. In the special presentation, I think it should be noted that they suggested that we move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anything further?
Yes, in letter D, under trustee report, I would like it noted that I replied to Clerk Track's comment about my social media post.
Okay.
Anything further?
That is it. Thank you.
Does your motion still stand, Trustee Edwards?
Yes.
Okay. Support by Bartholomew with the changes. Okay, roll call, please.
Bartholomew?
Yes.
Edwards?
Yes.
Seidel?
Yes.
Fowler?
Yes.
Poznansky?
Poznansky, yes.
Hart?
Yes.
President Malzahn?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Great. In your packet, you have a copy of the bills. You have the check register report showing, let's see, $247,045.25. And you have the council bills in the total amount of $22,284.48. Do you have a motion to approve the bills?
I'll make a motion to approve the bills.
All right, we have a motion by Edwards. Do we have support?
Seidel.
We have support. I'm sorry, who supported?
I do, Randy. Seidel.
Seidel. Okay. Any other discussion?
I do have a question.
Okay.
On the check register, I see, it's on the top portion for Rosati, Schultz, and Jopich. Is that the lawyers for this subcommittee, village
Yes,
decision?
it is. Yes, it is.
So that is charged to that committee's price?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And then I see two more, two bills to Vitrano Consulting, one for $2,080 and one for $1,170. Are those both for the subcommittee, or are one of those for his contracted services regularly?
I believe they were both for the subcommittee. One
Okay.
didn't get submitted for payment.
Okay. And the lawyers was $3,412.50.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Any other questions? All right, roll call, please.
Edwards,
Yes.
Seidel. Where'd he go? Seidel, yes. Bartholomew,
Yes.
Poznanski,
No.
Fowler,
No.
Hart,
Yes.
President Malzahn.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-2.
Great. We have no special presentations this evening. We have 0 correspondences this evening.
I do have a correspondence.
Correspondence are those that are submitted to me.
It does not say that anywhere, ma'am. It just
I
says,
would look-
so I'm going to read this correspondence that I got from a resident. It is dated August 13th, 2020. It is titled, Romeo Residents' Rights to Know and Request to Vote. On all proposals that require a millage raise or any other proposals that will raise Romeo residents' taxes or water or sewage rates. It goes on to say, we, Romeo residents, request and demand our voice be heard and to have the ability to vote on anything that will affect our financial status, situation, or raise our taxes in any way. The idea that the village officials passed 3 mills without notifying the residents during a pandemic is unethical, not moral, and just plain disrespectful to all the residents of Romeo. It also appears that these decisions can be in contrary with the Governor Whitmer's decisions to protect all residents of Michigan from absorbing any additional finances stress during this pandemic. A copy of the statement has been sent to Governor Whitmer's office along with our request that she intervene in the board's decisions and actions regarding the 3 recent mills passed, particularly the water bill raise. We also want to address the way the board makes these decisions and the way they attempt to contact residents so that we may be educated and make informed decisions. We demand a letter be sent to all residents directly whenever there is to be a change in the water bill or any millage proposals or anything that affects our hard-earned cash. Most of us are not on social media, and the board should not depend on residents purchasing or reading the Macomb Daily in order to get information on these matters. Quite frankly, we feel that is insane. This statement is particularly focused on the recent water bill increase. To raise a water bill, which is every citizen's right to have access to affordable and clean water, especially during this pandemic, is insane, as well as cruel and abusive use of power. Most of us residents cannot afford such an increase. And those of us who do not even use the minimum amount of water are paying for water we don't or can't use. Not to mention, the quality of water is undrinkable in many neighborhoods, forcing residents to purchase costly from $2,000 to $4,000 water filtration systems just to be able to use the water. We demand that this increase is reversed and that the board provide a detailed reason for this increase. We no longer accept it is for maintenance or upgrades. We want to know what maintenance and upgrades are being made, details. We also demand to know what maintenance or upgrades we made with the last water bill increase. Regarding the proposed village to city, first, why is this necessary? What benefit does this bring to the village? Most residents like the fact that we're living in a small village, a community, which is why we moved here. What is the cost? What is the 23-step process? Will this be put on the ballot for us to vote? And why were all residents not notified of this proposal? The only way most of us learned about this is through a friend who received the information and shared it with us. This process of notification is unacceptable. And I have multiple signatures here from the residents who agree with this statement. Thank you.
Megan, you'll need to forward a copy of that to Clerk Trapp so that it can be put into the minutes, please.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to move on to our officer reports. President's report for August 17th. The village offices remain open for public walk-ins Monday through Thursday, 8:30 to 4:30 p.m. All who enter are required to wear a mask. As of today, Romeo has had 25 reported COVID cases. That's up 7 cases, with deaths remaining at 4. There are 19 cases with 5 deaths in Bruce Township, 180 cases with 6 deaths in Washington Township. Due to the governor's restrictions, all Village of Romeo public meetings with more than 10 participants will be held remotely on Zoom. Please see the meeting notices for login information. Those can be found on our website and in the Village Hall window. I presented to Planning Commission, the DDA, and the HDC the Village to City final report. I answered their questions and asked them to engage in dialogue with their neighbors to help spread the word about this important topic. Unfortunately, the town hall meetings that we were hoping to schedule for the master plan updates and the Village to City Exploration Committee have been postponed to the recent rollbacks by the governor's executive orders. DPW Supervisor Tim Metz and I met with Supervisor O'Leary and Washington Township DPW Supervisor to discuss a possible 425 agreement for a water service customer exchange. Romeo is waiting on a draft proposal from Washington Township Legal Counsel for further consideration. DDA Director Lisa Hall and I met with Doug Schultz of Rowe Engineering to review the streetscape and pedestrian crossing project that their firm helped the DDA develop about 10 years ago. Rowe is going to provide an estimate for current pricing and options for surface treatments that I will bring to council for consideration. As a follow-up to that meeting with Rowe, several DDA members, John Rose and Greg Tarr, and I also engaged County Commissioner Don Brown to see if he could assist with some grant funding. Just for those who may not know, Greg Tarr and John Rose are serving on a subcommittee for the pedestrian crossings. So that's why those two were invited. The TED B grant application that I spoke about last month and that we voted on, submitted for the Croswell repaving project, has been denied. They stated in their response that they received $18 million in requests, only had $3 million to allocate, so unfortunately that project will be on hold. The marijuana business ordinance and the zoning amendments have been approved and published as required by law. I'm creating the application packet. We'll be sending that to Mr. Clark for review in the next 2 days. So when the waiting period is completed, we should be able to accept completed applications. Reminder that the next Community Shred Day will be held on September 26th at Bruce Township Hall. All Romeo and Bruce Township residents are welcome to shred their papers live on site. That completes the President's report. Clerk Trapp.
Okay. The Cemetery Board met on Wednesday, July 22nd, 2020. The board did vote on awarding the bid to Shaner Roofing for much needed repairs to the roof on our cemetery garage. We're hoping to get that started soon. The office staff and accountant are moving along with completing our audit prep to-do list. Some of us were actually in the office this past Saturday, so we are all on the same page. This year, a lot of the prep will be done virtually as items will be uploaded to their portal at UHY. Due to COVID, our audit firm will be limiting the amount of time that they will be visiting our office, and we're hoping to start that after Labor Day. And on Thursday, I was on a Zoom call with Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson. The conversation focused on the primary election that just took place and the general election coming up. Due to the delays in the United States Postal Service, it is encouraged that ballots and ballot requests be dropped off at your township's drop box. That is the highlights of my last few weeks. That's all I have.
All right, thank you very much. Do we have Sherry Maddox, are you online to give a treasurer's report? I do not see her, but I have several guests, so I am not sure. Sherry, if you're having a difficulty unmuting yourself, you can certainly call my office phone, 586-752-3565, extension 3, and I'm happy to put you on speakerphone. We'll go ahead and go through the trustee reports. So if you are wanted to call in, we can go back to your report after we hear theirs. So we can start with the trustees. Trustee Bartholomew. Oh, wait.
Okay.
Okay, yep. Sherry, is that you?
Yes, let me,
Okay.
no, I have two phones going.
Sorry.
Okay, just wanted to give update to online payments that have been accepted since January 27th, 71,000, which has generated 2,100 in revenue. And then I just want to remind everybody tax payments are due September 14th. And that concludes my report.
All right. Thank you very much, Sherry. Okay. Now let's go back. Let's see. Trustee Fowler, did you have a trustee report you wanted to give?
Beg your pardon?
Did you have a trustee report that this time you wanted to offer?
No.
Okay. Trustee Hart?
No, nothing.
Okay. Trustee Poznanski?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
I was able to attend sessions through Michigan State, which taught me how to involve the public, which led me to listening sessions. I apologize, you hear my dogs in the background.
That's okay.
Which led me to the listening session that I co-hosted with other trustee Zach Fowler this last Thursday. I want to thank everyone who came out. We had just under 50 people there, and we had over 50 people engaged online. Please reach out if you have questions. meagski@yahoo.com is my email. Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Bartholomew?
Yeah, I'm happy to report that the sidewalk contractor we hired is back at it. He's, as of last week, he replaced some sections up on Minot Street and Wonder Lane. Excuse me. And, oh, there I am. Okay. And he's planning on this week, I think, starting up again. And so I'm real happy to report that. I'm really happy with the residents. The residents have been great. Just everything's been going good. So it's really good to see this happening. And that's all I have right now. Thank you.
Nathan,
Yes.
if I may, I met a resident on Minot 131 that wanted to request their sidewalk be looked at.
Okay, I'll write that down and get over there and take a look at it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Trustee Seidel, any report?
No, thank you.
Trustee Edwards?
No report here.
Okay. I don't think I skipped anybody. If I did, speak up. Ex officio from Planning Commission. Trustee Fowler did not attend the meeting, but did you have anything that you wanted to report on?
No, nothing. I know you gave your presentation. Is there something that you'd like to say?
For the Planning Commission? Well, the Planning Commission had just a few agenda items. That was to approve the site plan approval for the Pamplona building, and that was completed. They also adopted and approved the zoning amendments for the marijuana business ordinance. So I believe that's it from the Planning Commission.
May I add one more thing? I don't know if I mentioned, but the contractor we're using is Wrap Concrete. I just wanted to make sure that I said their name, and they are doing a great job. Thanks.
Perfect. I have just a couple of things just to clarify. from the follow-up meeting, the listening session that you did have, Trustee Poznanski and Trustee Fowler, I just wanted to clarify a couple of things that were incorrect that you presented to that meeting. One, I thank you for having that meeting. I'm so grateful that our residents are actually engaged and they do want to learn about this process, and I thank you for sharing the information with them that you did provide. As far as detachment, Trustee Fowler, that is not, although it is a possibility in a city per se that they can form detachment, the process by which you made a determination that the Village of Romeo would be at risk is not correct. And so by elimination of the first two key points that need to be done for detachment, it would, one, be a parcel, it would require a vote of the people who live in the city, not by the township. So it would be, it's typically a detachment, a portion of the city that wishes to separate and become its own municipality, not by the township. And it also must not be serviceable by water or sewer. Since the Village of Romeo does completely blanket our bounding areas, detachment by that means alone would not be a possibility. So I just wanted to be clear that no area in our industrial park or the area where our backup well is, that's a parcel that is owned in Washington Township, would be subject to detachment if we were to complete the city process.
Well, that's up to debate right now at this point, Christine, because I think you're wrong, period. I think that we need to definitely get our village attorney involved in this conversation.
Wait, we're over talking, Megan. Can you give me just a second, and I'll let you come back to that.
Yeah,
Trustee Fowler,
I said that you're wrong.
Trustee Fowler,
I said that
you are incorrect. You are incorrect in your information that you are providing to residents. Detachment will not jeopardize the area that is known as our industrial park. It will not jeopardize the area that is our backup well that is in Washington Township. So I just wanted to clarify that. Trustee Poznanski, did you have something that you want to come back and add?
I did. I wanted to say thank you. We are flattered that you listened to our video, and thank you for your opinions. But this is also the trustees' comment portion time, not the presidential comment time.
Yes.
Let's stay to the agenda, please.
Yes, we certainly will. Yep, but I needed to correct that since you offered that in your report. I'm going to move on. There are no committee reports at this time. So we're going to move into our unfinished business. Oh, I'm sorry. Did we even approve the agenda? I think I may have skipped over that because I'm looking forward, and yes, I apologize. We did skip over into special presentations because it's on the bottom of the first page. So if we could backtrack just for 1 second to look at the agenda. I do need to add a couple of things to the agenda. And that would be a Mount Vernon tree approval for an expenditure. So if we could add that to item D under new business.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with that addition of Mount Vernon tree.
Okay. Do we have support?
Support.
Okay, so we have a motion by Hart, we have support by Bartholomew. Is there any other discussion?
She unmuted me.
Okay, can you roll call, please, on the agenda?
Hart,
Yes.
Bartholomew,
Yes.
Poznanski,
Poznanski, yes.
Seidel,
Yes.
But she muted him.
Fowler,
No.
Fowler, you are not muted. We can hear you.
Yes, I know it. She does.
Okay.
She unmuted me.
okay. Edwards,
Yes.
President Malzahn.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-1.
Okay, perfect. I apologize again for that oversight. Let's move then into unfinished business. We have the vacating of the alley. Obviously, we held the public hearing before. We have approved this last month that we would vacate the alley. This is a resolution that you see. Vacating the alley. So we're just going back to this slide right here to vacate that alley. I'm looking for a motion and support to ratify the vacating of the alley at this time.
I'll make the motion to ratify the closing or
Vacating?
the abandonment of the alleyway. Yes.
Okay. We have a motion by Hart. We have support.
Support.
Support by Edward. Roll, please. I'm sorry, is there any further discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Hart? Edwards?
Yes.
Fowler?
Yes.
Bartholomew?
Yes.
Seidel?
Yes.
Poznanski?
Poznanski, yes.
President Malzahn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Let's move on now to the petition for resolution for Armada Township, the annexation request. You have in your packet, a copy of the resolution as completed. Again, we voted to move this forward at last month's meeting. The next step in the process is to send this on to the township board, the county commissioners, and I need to be authorized to sign the attachment, petition of annexation, and the resolution. I must note that there was one typographic change that came to me late this afternoon from Mr. Zahowski's attorney. If you would take a look at the resolution, the very first paragraph where it says this matter having come before the Village of Romeo Council on the request of Chester Zahowski, Chet's Properties Number 1 LLC, Chet's Properties Number 3 LLC. There is no referenced parcel that includes Chet's Properties Number 3 LLC. So we need to strike that. It just is simply not going to be included in there. There are 2 units that are in Chet's Property Number 1, and you see that in the legal descriptions that's also included in your packet. So I'm just looking for a motion to approve the resolution and the petition for annexation.
I will make a motion to move forward with allowing President Malzahn to sign and move forward with this annexation process for Chet's property.
Okay.
I'll support.
Okay, so we had a motion by Poznanski, we have support by Hart. Is there any other discussion? A roll call, please.
Poznanski?
Poznanski, yes.
Hart?
Yes.
Bartholomew?
Yes.
Fowler?
Yes.
Seidel?
Yes.
Edwards?
Yes.
President Malzahn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to Al, if you wanted to unmute yourself. I have you unmuted. Al Lapierre, our wastewater treatment supervisor, came before us. He is in need of a new pump purchase. He has submitted to you bids. They are clear in your packet. I'm sorry that the slide here is a little bit blurry to read. But there are, Al, do you want to explain the scope of work here?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So I have 2 bids, one from Jet Pump. Actually, we have 2 pumps that are down, and Jet Pump has given us a bid on the front page to repair each pump for $10,000, and then they have a quote to replace them for about $8,500 on the back. We also have 2 quotes from Kerr Pump, one for $4,500 for a hydromatic, and one for $7,500 for the Meyer pump. I would like permission to buy 2 of the hydromatic pumps for $4,514. That's a total of about $9,028. The pump's good. The hydromatic's it's the cheapest pump, but it's industry standard. We use them all the time, so it's a good pump. It's a good price, and the money will come out of.
All right. All right. I'm I'm not sure if he muted himself again. So do we have a motion to approve Al's request for the purchase of the 2 pumps?
I'll make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion by Poznanski. I heard her get in there first.
To approve the purchase of 2 pumps, a single pump costing $4,514.
Do we have support?
Support?
I'll
We're
support.
asking for 2 pumps for $9,000.
Yes, the total of, I don't have the total written in front of me.
$9,028.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion by Poznanski. I have a support by Hart. Any other discussion?
I would like to ask Al, how long, was the longevity out of the pump we're replacing?
The pump we're replacing were put in with the new plant in 2008.
Okay.
They're in a very harsh environment, and they've actually done pretty well.
Yes.
So,
thank you.
Any other discussion?
Can I ask what company the bid you're going with? That wasn't part of the motion, but can I have the company name, please?
Yes.
Kerr Pump and Supply.
Kerr Pump. Oh, thank you.
Okay, roll call when you're ready, please.
Oh, I only have a motion. I don't believe I heard a second.
Hart. Hart
Thank
supported
you.
that.
Thank you. All right, roll call. Poznanski.
Poznanski, yes.
Hart.
Yes.
Seidel.
Yes.
Bartholomew.
Yes.
Edwards.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
President Malzahn.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0 for the pump purchase.
thank you.
Okay, next up, we're going to go to our RFPs. We noted as we were doing our work for our audit this year, looking up the reference that this is the last year for our auditing services through that bid process. We also noted that the contract for our legal services expired in October. So per our professional services policy, we're going to bid this out every 3 to 5 years. Clerk Trapp drafted 2 proposals, one for the auditing, one for legal services. We currently have Mr. Petrino working on the RFP for engineering. We never did issue an engineering RFP, so he's assisting her in drafting that. That'll be coming forward for consideration as well. But for right now, we have these 2 that are ready to be submitted. So we're looking for approval to issue these 2 RFPs under the timeline that she has proposed for the services.
Christine,
Yes?
for our Mitt TV contract, we are still under contract with Mitt TV, and we just renewed that contract.
We extended that contract under its terms. There was an option to extend. So yes,
Correct.
That one is still active.
So how come we can't make a motion to renew or extend this contract for our legal services?
It was already extended, and so it's outlived the actual bid that was submitted.
So can we just make a motion to renew the contract and not put it up for services? Because
You can make whatever motion you would like.
okay, I'd like to make a motion that we renew the contract for our legal services.
I will second that motion. Poznanski.
I would again caution that is outside of the ordinance that we adopted for our bid and consulting policy. So
You made an ordinance? I thought it was just a...
it's a policy, excuse me. It's not an ordinance. It is a policy that we approved and wrote together that we were going to bid out those services. And that was
outside that box as far
under
as your...
former President Mike Lee, yes.
Can we take a roll call, please?
I'll call for the roll when it's time. We're on the discussion point right now, please.
This is Randy. I don't believe you can do a roll call because I don't believe you can just decide not to put something out for quote.
Well,
you just can't. Then we would carry over every single thing that we have. We would carry over our lighting. We would carry over our lawn mowing. We would carry over every single contract that we have, and no one would have a chance to bid out. I'm not saying I'm for or against this. I'm just saying you just can't decide you're not going to bid something out.
Well, that stands for the printing too, that our president did automatically on the on some of the printouts.
I'm not bringing up anything specific.
Well, I'm just saying it has already been.
Please stay on point. We're not going to overtalk each other, please. I will mute you if I have to.
Now here you go with the over talking. When you already muted me once.
Zach.
Yes.
I have the comment, and I'm just saying, forget what we're talking about. You cannot just carry over bid packs. I don't care what it is. You cannot do that.
That is your opinion.
You know, okay, you can say your opinion, but when anyone else has an opinion, you guys seem to only want to go one way. I think it's a fact. I don't think it's an opinion.
Okay.
We would never bid anything out.
Printing.
Let's ask our legal counsel. Mr. Clark, could you bid without following the policy?
Mr. Clark, can you hear us? We have a question on the floor from Trustee Poznanski.
I don't know if you can hear me, but I can barely hear any of the conversation. It's just so low that I'm not sure I pick up every word or everything that everybody is saying. So I just want to let you know that. I don't know if you can hear me.
We can, yes.
Okay, good. All right. So I'm not sure because of the discussion of what was being exchanged, I'm not sure I understand the question.
The question from Trustee Poznanski was, we have a motion by Mr. Fowler. We have support by Trustee Poznanski to extend a contract that we don't have written in the contract to properly extend. And it goes outside of the bid policy that we approved as a board. And so the question was, can we do that if we have a bid policy in place that we're going to bid out our services every 3 to 5 years?
Well, you can change your policy. The board is in charge of its own policies. You adopt your own policies. You can change your policies just as you can adopt ordinances, rescind ordinances, pass resolutions, amend or rescind resolutions. So the broad question is, you can change your policy if you choose. I would just mention, when it comes to the specific services that with which I contract with the village, or which the village has contracted with me, when I submitted a response to the request for proposals, I believe if you look at your documentation, it was in October of 2016, and I believe the council approved in December of 2016 to hire me for 3 years with an option on the part of the village to extend it for 2 years at the same terms. Not my option, but the village's option. And so if you choose, you can have anybody, myself, anybody else that's interested who's qualified, submit responses to new proposals, or you can exercise the option that you gave yourselves, the council at the time, when it accepted the request for proposal that I submitted in 2016.
Does that answer your question, Trustee Poznanski?
Well, so we have an option for extension, as I just heard from Mr. Clark, in an additional 2 years. Is that correct?
Not under the time frame that was in his proposal. All right, so we have a motion on the table by Mr. Fowler. We have support by Poznanski. Could you please call the roll on the vote? Do you want to restate your motion, or can you restate the motion, Catherine?
Motion by Fowler, Support by Poznansky to extend the current contract for legal services. For, what was the time frame, Zach?
For the extension of a 2-year period.
2-year period. All right, roll call. Fowler?
Yes.
Poznansky?
Poznansky, yes.
President Malzahn?
No.
Bartholomew?
No.
Edwards?
No.
Hart?
No.
Seidel?
No.
Motion fails 2-5.
I'm going to put forth a motion at this time to proceed with the 2 RFPs as they're in the packet and getting bids and proposals submitted to council for their approval.
Motion by Malzahn.
Support.
That was a support by Hart.
Yes.
Yes.
Can I ask, why do we go out for RFP and not RFQ?
Same difference.
But isn't quote and guarantees a little bit better that we have apples to apples? Remember what happened with the lawn RFP? Just thinking if we did request for quote, we might not have that issue.
Well, what happened with the lawn RFP? I'm just going by history with all the RFPs that have been in filed in my archives. That we haven't changed. I haven't seen an RFQ in my archives, so then this would change. I don't know if this is a board vote to change how we're going to go about this, but I'm just going by base history of what we've been using in the past.
Okay. Well, I'm just thinking it might be a better idea to ask for quote so that we can literally put out there exactly what we're asking for.
Can you outline the difference between a proposal and a quote for me?
You want me to outline it?
Well, I just don't I don't see this. And it's also request for bid. I mean, do we need to include that in the option?
Google later if you don't understand.
I'm sorry, what was that?
You can look it up on Google later if you don't understand.
Well, I thought you were explaining to me the difference.
I'm going to call a roll on this because I think it's a moot point.
In reading it, it is pretty specific on what it's requesting.
Yes, and that's, we have the specifics in this document. If you read through there, it's exactly what we sent out the last time with updated dates and in terms. So it's exactly the format that Vitrano had helped us draft back in 2015 when we put out the original ones. So
my question of sticking with RFP and not changing to RFQ is because that's what we've always done. Am I understanding that correctly?
Well,
my motion is that we're going to proceed with the request for proposal.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Can you please call the roll, Clerk Trapp?
President Malzahn?
Yes.
Hart?
Yes.
Bartholomew?
Yes.
Poznansky?
Poznansky, no.
Seidel?
Yes.
Edwards?
Yes.
Fowler?
No.
Motion carried 5-2.
All right, moving on to utility rates deferment. Let me skip to the next slide here. Whoops, sorry, skipped twice. Okay, so this is a recap because again, there was some questions and some misinformation that was presented recently. So I wanted to put exactly what was in your packet that we did approve back in May 18th of 2020 that outlines these rates. Now there's a question, the reader read that's current is for the months of June, July, and August. With the publication notice, when these rates took effect, it's actually 6/16, but for the month of June, starting June 1. So when I took a look at it, and I also considered the current pandemic and financial situation that we have in the village, I didn't want to try and develop a plan for a 2-week usal at the old rate and then adopting the new rate. It's really sort of impossible for them to read the meters based on a 2-week usage. And so I'm just proposing that we defer the utility rate adjustment until the beginning of the year after this next billing cycle. So that should help everybody out in the village if we hold those rates steady for at least one more quarter. So I'd be looking for a motion to approve that deferment.
I'll make a motion to defer the rate change until the first of the year.
Poznanski, support. Thank you, President Malzahn. That is a wonderful idea, and I know the residents will greatly appreciate it.
Happy to help. Absolutely. So we have a motion by Hart. We have support by Poznanski. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Hart.
Yes.
Poznanski.
Poznanski, yes.
President Malzahn.
Yes.
Bartholomew.
Yes.
Edwards.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
Seidel.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Excellent. Thank you very much. The last item that we added, and I apologize that you don't have this in your packet. Supervisor Tim Metz texted this to me and I forgot it in my text threads. We have Mount Vernon Tree who's done some other work that was approved under my budget that I was able to approve. This gathering of trees that need some trimming and removal work is above my authorization to approve. So I'm asking for council to approve Mount Vernon to continue the tree trimming and removal work in the village. That totals up to $3,650. You can see the addresses on your screen here, a variety of addresses and what needs to be done with those.
I'll make the motion that we move forward with the Mount Vernon Tree approval agreement.
Support. Bob Hart.
Okay, we have a motion by Bartholomew. We have support by Hart. Any other discussion?
Where would this money come out of now for this extension?
I believe it's still booked back to the Village Beautification Fund that we have.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Bartholomew.
Yes.
Hart.
Yes.
Seidel.
Yes.
Edwards.
Yes.
Fowler.
No.
Poznanski.
Poznanski, yes.
President Malzahn.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-1.
Good. So we'll get that tree work done that we have in the village. All right. Up next on our agenda is public comments. Again, members of the public are welcome to give us their input, comments, opinions. You can raise your hand on the Zoom. You can chat in the chat box. I'll try and read those. You can also call my landline. Again, that number is 586-752-3565, extension 3. So is there anybody at this time that wants to offer public comment? There should be a raise hand feature if no one's seeing that in the Zoom meeting. I'm going to give everybody probably about a minute or so. So just to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to dial in or log in or chat something that I can read. So, okay, somebody's calling in. Hello?
Hi, this is Sally Rosso at 421 North Bailey. And I have a few questions. I'll try to keep them brief as I can. And I have a comment. And I also posted on the chat in regards to one of the comments. I searched quote versus proposal while you were talking, just so everyone knows, according to Google, both quotes and proposals are formal offers to a client. A quote is a reply to a request for a product, price, or availability. A proposal is a reply to a request for a solution or a requirement. So the request is usually unsure of what they want and are open to looking at options to address their requirements, where a quote is actually looking for a price. Just to help out for everybody who...
I appreciate you clarifying that.
Okay. My first one is a quick question. What is the procedure for fire hydrant testing?
That's something that's maintained through the contracted services with our fire department. I do not know how often they maintain those. I believe they work with our DPW supervisor, but I am unclear of the time frame for that.
Could we please make a formal request to find out? Because as recent as this past June, I happened to be chatting with the fire department, and they specifically told me that is up to your village, and you should check with your village and their DPW schedule.
Okay, I will be sure to follow up with that with Supervisor Tim Metz.
Okay, and could I get a response on that?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Would you like to, do I have your contact information? Could you send me?
You want me to email it to you?
That would be fabulous, yes.
Okay, all right, great. My next question is, I heard you mention the marijuana proposal, that whole deal. You said it was approved and published as required. Can I ask where that was published or where I can find that?
That would be in the Macomb Daily. Both on the village council side, we published the ordinance synopsis, and then in the Macomb Daily, we published the zoning ordinance amendments that Planning Commission approved.
So if one does not subscribe to a Macomb Daily, and I imagine many seniors on a limited budget don't, we would have no way of knowing other than walking to the office and asking to see the book of ordinances, correct?
Right. Well, we talk about it at the council level. It's approved. And when we hold those hearings, we always say that there's a complete and full copy available in the village offices. So, yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So any new ordinance or current ordinance is always posted in the Macomb Daily?
No. Certain ones require publication. Certain ones require posting just in the window, such as the vacating of the alley.
Okay. And then, so for the map of what sidewalks are being done, is that also in the village office we can see, or is it online?
There is not a map. That sidewalk subcommittee developed some criteria, and we are working with our contractor to target areas. We initially sent out a subcommittee that marked and notified some homeowners. We set a threshold of a 2-inch lip, trip and fall hazard, and we tried to group as many of those together and send out the required notifications and announcing our sidewalk repair and replacement program, which is basically an $80 cost share, $80 per slab to the homeowner, $80 absorbed by the Village of Romeo. And last fall, the weather got the best of us. We only completed a small portion of that work, Tilson, Pleasant Street, Sisson. And right now we're starting back up with the homeowners that were already notified last season. Some actually had already prepaid for that work. So we started on Minot Street. That was a really bad trip and fall, looking for clear, safe paths to school, all the walkers that are going to start up. We actually, I'm going to be walking with the contractor, with Trustee Bartholomew and Supervisor Tim Metz. We're going to focus our next area, I believe, in the southeast quadrant. So we're going to look at Bailey, Fairgrove, Ewell, Dickinson, those streets. Again, try and gang up as many in a quadrant for ease of use by our contractor. So we don't really have a map per se.
So does the subcommittee have a map? Is anyone tracking?
Yes. Well, we had developed a list. Again, when they walked, they marked some sidewalks by address, and we notified those homeowners, and we'll repeat that same process.
Okay, so I guess is there someone on the subcommittee I could contact to ask if they're tracking, how many they're anticipating, and what's been done and when? Just
Absolutely.
to see the overall picture.
Sure. Well, a lot of it is budget related. We have allocated, I believe it was $50,000 in this year's budget for that work. So we're trying to monitor closely the amount of areas that need work, group together, get that completed to make sure that we stay within budget.
Right. So my question, what I want to see is the big picture. We have a $50,000 budget.
Mm-hmm.
Then do we have 6 sidewalk spaces or 7,000 sidewalk spaces? Like if someone's looking at that big picture compared to the budget, someone must be mapping it or trying to get a handle on where we're at.
Well,
is that 50,000 too much or not enough? Like, is someone looking at that process or no? We're just going
We did, the subcommittee looked at that process and we modeled it after the city of Sterling Heights. In a perfect world, we could just let our contractor have at it, and anything that's cracked, deteriorating, missing, heaved by a tree root, we would certainly just have those repairs taken care of. But because budget is a concern, we're just trying to put the worst of the trip hazards to the priority list, but also considering, again, the scope and the areas in which they are already working. We don't want them to do 2 or 4 squares here and then have to skip over 2 streets and do 2 or 4 squares there. Our goal is to get the urgent repairs done and then do a yearly quadrant check so that we have ongoing repairs always happening, but hopefully would maintain a safe walking environment for our village. So
I understand that.
Yes.
So my question being, to manage a project of $50,000, did someone plan a scope and sequence?
Yes, we worked that out with Jeff Rapp, our contractor.
So he has the map and the scope and the sequence, but our village and our trustees don't know the scope and sequence?
The subcommittee and the goals and objectives workshop where we assigned a budget to it. Yes, we talked about this at council level 2 years ago to develop a plan so that the, because right now the current ordinance says if your sidewalk needs repair, it's the homeowner's responsibility to do that. And we have a cost share where we will reimburse for 50% of the cost of the concrete only. So that ordinance didn't change, right? So if there's a repair or if a homeowner wants to replace a driveway or an approach, none of that is covered under this particular cost share. But our contractor is working with the homeowners as we go out and we engage each one of those residents to talk about their particular parcel. How much repair do they need?
Right. So my question being,
yes,
who can I ask? Who can I follow up with so I can see the scope and sequence of the project?
I would love to do that.
I would suggest that maybe you chat with Trustee Bartholomew. He's, yep.
Okay, because that would be just logical financial planning, having a scope and sequence. Okay, I'll follow up with Mr. Bartholomew. And then my next question being, for the new physician office at the North Bailey area where you're annexing the alleyway, was any type of traffic study completed and a parking study completed? North Bailey and 32 is a little bit of a tricky intersection area, especially with the amount of traffic building. Trying to get in and out of that area is like a game of Frogger, for lack of a better phrase. But where are those folks going to park? Does he have parking built into those 2 lots? And was there a traffic study done?
There was not a traffic study done, and yes, according to our ordinance for his approved use, he can utilize part of the municipal parking lot on the Bailey Street to meet those zoning requirements, and that was met per Planning Commission's approval.
So none of the property that he's purchasing is used for parking at all? It's going to be the physical office?
That is incorrect. He does have, I believe it's 10. I do not have his site plan in front of me, but I believe he has 10 spaces that are on his property.
Nice deal for him. Okay. Nice deal. Okay, and then my last...
Just to clarify that, that's the same deal that's offered to all of our businesses. They can utilize the municipal parking lots to meet those requirements. If you take a look at the restaurants that we have in town, they do not have any on-site parking, and certainly the patrons take up a majority of that. In consideration for his site plan approval, he has agreed to repave, restripe, re-landscape, and do portion of the maintenance to that municipal parking lot at his own expense, which is something that I might add the other businesses do not do in this village.
Right, but you can't say nobody has on-site parking because Lock Cleaner and several other businesses have signs that say private parking. Right. You can't park in those spots downtown.
No, I didn't say nobody. I said some. The majority do not own any on-site parking spaces that bring the majority of visitors to our town. But some do. Yes. Box Cleaners does, PNC Bank does, Romeo Printing does. There are several that do have parking spaces allotted to their parcel.
Yeah, but I'm not being rude. It is a nice deal for that physician's office. I mean, he gets to build a nice office. He's already got parking there. He doesn't have to put in. But that's a nice thing. In your response sounded a little bit like you might have thought I was being rude.
No, I don't disagree.
Excuse me, Christine.
Question?
This is Randy, real quick.
Yeah, my next question, similar to in regards to that, his signs. I obviously they've gone through all, but will they be lit?
I don't believe we have an application for a sign permit at this time.
Okay.
I mean, the one hasn't been filed. He'll of course need one, but we don't have one on file.
Okay. All right. And then I want to go back, and I know you might not know off the top of your head. I understand that, so I can get an answer. Or if any of the trustees know, that's fine. They may recall. But back in May of 19, there was a village meeting, and the DPW was quoted as saying they want drive-by meters. And there was a discussion for water meters to be upgraded, and ours were outdated, and the amount of money we would save, you folks may remember. At that time, that's when it was approved, a $4 per month fee proposal to go on the water bill to upgrade approximately 17,000 users, which would bring in about 81,000 a year. And it was both residential and commercial, and the comment was made that we would probably start with the industrial park. I've looked over a minute, and I can't find any status of how that's going or where that's going. So are the meters being replaced? Because it was specified that was the initial what was driving it, was the meters that were being outdated, and they wanted something they could drive by and click with. So where does that stand as far as meter replacement?
The meters are being replaced on an ongoing basis at this point, because the collection of those fees doesn't generate enough for a one-time flat-out purchase, and we're not going to finance it at this time. But yes, the meters are being replaced, and they can be fit with the transponder, so we're not duplicating the efforts when we move to that drive-by feature.
So the new meters are coming with the transponder, or they could be retrofitted?
They get fitted with it.
They are fit with it?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So at that meeting, he talked about it would save about $10,000 approximately. He said a year, then he said a quarter. So I called the village office a couple times, and I get it. It's a year later. I called a couple times with some questions and didn't get a response, and I let it go. But I'm curious now, what would we do with that time saving and that money saving? Because that was discussed at the meeting, how it would save time and money. So what's the plan for that time and money that the state?
Well, there's never a shortage for any work that our DPW, need to work for those gentlemen. They are short-staffed. They had several that retired, and we didn't replace those crews, so they would just simply have the time allotted to move on to other projects like our sewer repairs or storm drain repairs, those sorts of manhole cover repairs. Yes.
Okay, and then the budget savings once they're all in, because they said that would save us money.
The money that would be saved, it would be on labor from them walking to read the meters, but the labor would be ongoing expenses because they would be working on other projects.
Okay. All right. So
and by the way, it's not 17,000. We have about 1,795 households on the system. Just to clarify, I didn't want you to think we.
Yes. I'm sorry. You're right.
That's okay. Yeah. No. Sorry.
Yeah. That's okay. So that project is in the works, is ongoing, and that's what that money has been allocated for. What happens when the meters are all replaced? Will that money be removed from our bill?
Right. Well, it depends on what the time frame of when they're completed and what the longevity and how long the last of lifelong of a meter is, and I do not know the answer to that. We anticipate there's always going to be a need for meter repairs and replacements.
Okay, so then the one that you deferred today, and thank you, I appreciate that, that increase to help cover costs and expense that was deferred, will that someday cover the meters, or will this meter fee always be here?
It's not a meter fee, it's a maintenance fee. And there's always, you could probably assume that there will always be maintenance needed for the infrastructure of reading our meters.
Okay. Well, at the meeting,
Right.
though, it was specifically said this is 4 meters.
That was one of the projects that we hoped that we anticipated paying for with that maintenance fee. Yes.
So
But
now
it's
we're
not,
going to have 2 different maintenance fees? I'm trying to understand.
no, there's just one maintenance fee that was approved. That was the $4 a month, $12 a utility bill for a maintenance fee.
And so then this increase in the water bill is not towards maintenance? What is that for?
So we had a whole SAW grant study that was done. And again, that presentation, I believe it was in the October, it could have been in the November meeting. Mr. Paul Bailey came, and Helen and a couple of other representatives came from Hubble, Roth, and Clark, and they submitted the infrastructure and gatherings from that grant that was given to us. It was anticipated a timeline for the needed repairs to fix those storm drains that we have. It was close to about $400,000 a year for quite a few years to maintain those. And we talked about that again at the council meeting when their findings were presented. We talked about that in our goals and objectives public meeting. And we talked about an asset management plan that needs to be put in place so that that infrastructure can be maintained before we have a collapse of the system that we have in place. So that's what the increase is. The utility rates themselves don't have anything to do with the maintenance fee. It's a separate line item.
Right.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
So
then my last question, are there video recordings of the meetings that are archived on the village website so we have access to watch it from there?
I believe, but I would have to verify this, that there is a link to the Mitt TV's page, and that's who archives all the meetings that you can watch.
Yeah, could you verify that? Because I've searched a couple times, and the website doesn't have a lot of information on it, and I can't find the link.
Okay.
So I would like to go back and watch. So if you could confirm it's there, just make sure it's there. And I think that is, let's make sure that's the last. Hold 1 second, please. And then, no, that's it. I'm good. Thank you very much. I'll follow up with you on email so you have that information I asked for.
Okay.
All right.
All right. I do have 2 quick submissions that were on the live stream feed. Champ Foltz wanted to know, can we add a requirement for being on the board? Can we add that they must be a current taxpayer? I'm not sure if you recall which board you're referring to, Champ. Can you text me clarification on that? Are you talking about village council? Are you talking about or one of the other boards that are appointed positions? Most of them do we have a residency requirement that they must live here, and therefore I would think they would be a taxpayer, but maybe if they're living with mom and dad is the taxpayer, I guess I would have to sort of look for clarification on that.
Christine, the DDA has both village residents and business owners, although both would be taxpayers.
They both would be taxpayers, yes. I think he's asking for village council. If you want to be an elector in the village, you must be a current taxpayer. I guess I would have to check the general village law that governs us and election law to understand clearly what makes them a candidate that's qualified. So I'll have to get back to you on that, Champ. Carl Blanchard wanted to know if Mr. Seidel voted in favor for the 10th of alley due to him owning the car. He recused himself from that vote, Mr. Blanchard, at the village council level. So he did not vote on that. Is there anybody else that wanted to offer public comment this evening? All right.
If I could.
Hearing, I'm sorry. Was that somebody who wanted to offer public comment?
Yes, Trustee Poznanski, please.
Are you coming as a member of the public?
Sure, I'm both, I guess.
Okay.
In reference to our budget, we got a really nice report from our accountant, Tim. And reading at the last sentence, I'm a bit concerned. He goes through all of the different funds, and he says that for most of them, this is the price, what's been spent and what came in is expected. But then he says at the last sentence, in the Employees Retirement Hospitalization Fund, he says that's 5%. And then from interfund transfers and expenditures are at 10%, which are higher than expected. Can you speak to this? I don't understand what that exactly means.
Yeah, I'll have to check with Tim on that.
Okay, because when I looked over the budget, there are multiple spots where we didn't budget any money for hospitalization and life insurance, or there's other sections. Let me find hospitalization and life insurance, vacation days, or defined contribution pension. We have nothing, but we're spending money, and I'm not understanding that.
Perhaps next month we can have Tim attend the Zoom meeting or in-person meeting, and he can clarify that, his accounting practices with you and where those certain expenditures are getting booked to. I know that we accounted for the total dollar amount, but what line item it's getting booked to, I am not clear on those specifics.
Okay, because then he finishes with the remaining special funds are within normal operating range. What are special funds?
All of your enterprise funds, that would be water, that would be sewer, the cable funds, all of those are trending where they need to be.
So then anything not mentioned is considered special? Should I assume that?
I wouldn't make that assumption without clarifying that with your accountant.
Okay.
So we can ask him for clarification.
Am I free to come in and ask him?
Tim is not in the office at this time, so he is working remotely. So if you have any questions, you can certainly send him an email. He's pretty quick to answer the emails, or you can send them to me, and I'm happy to get you those answers.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's look for a motion to adjourn. Trustee Fowler, you like to make that motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Support.
We have a motion by Fowler. We have support by Bartholomew. Could you please call the roll?
All right, Fowler,
Yes.
Bartholomew,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Seidel,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yes.
Poznanski,
Poznanski, yes.
President Malzahn.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Meeting adjourned at 8:29.
29. Yes. Thank you, everybody. Good night.